Hey everyone, it's Mare from SickMom checking in for day 17, I think. Day 17. It's almost been 3 weeks. Well, no, really, it's just been a little over two, but um, it's been a good day. I got a lot of stuff done today. I had some energy, that brain boost that I got from drinking that coffee last night. Probably lasted for another few hours after I uploaded my video or while I was uploading my video. So, note to self, try not to drink espresso or lattes late in the day because, that's actually having an effect on my body now where before it was just not noticeable. Managed to get some housework done, so having energy to do that and feeling well enough. I mentioned that a few days ago that just where I live and sometimes even doing things like taking out the trash or taking out the recycling can be challenging if I'm not feeling well. But today was not like that. It was beautiful, and I even made it out to Costco, and I found out that Costco sells, excuse me, a little tired. I found out that Costco sells ribeye by the case. Oh my goodness, had no idea. So, I've already talked to one person about maybe going in with me on a big box of meat just because it is a lot cheaper to buy it by the case than it is to buy just, a couple of ribeye steaks. So I'm kind of thinking that might be the way to go long term. And yeah, I was so surprised. I've been shopping at Costco since like the early 90s, and I've never known that you can go to the meat department and ask them for a case and that the prices are different. So if you haven't, next time you go to Costco, just be sure that you check that they've got like this big placard above, or like a notice board or whatever it is, almost like a menu, over where the meat department is, and it says all of the things that they sell by the case. So brilliant. Really happy about that because otherwise I've been kind of having a hard time finding ribeye. They did have pre-cut ribeye steaks there today, but I was not buying them at that price. Even for Costco, I was like, no, I think I'm just gonna hold off. I've got steak in the freezer, I've got steak in the fridge. And I think investing in a box might be the way to go. I also went out for dinner, had the pleasure of being taken out for dinner at the Keg tonight. And one thing I have to say about the Keg chain of restaurants is, regardless of what weird way of eating that I have had to follow in the last decade, going to the Keg is usually such a pleasant experience because they're very accommodating. And today was no different. Today was a beautiful experience. I had lovely bacon wrapped scallops for my appetizer, and then I got the baseball steak. And I just kind of looked at the girl. I'm like, this is going to sound really weird, but can you bring me a side of butter with that? Just because top sirloin's pretty lean. And so she's like, well, what kind of butter do you want? Do you want whipped butter or do you want like melted butter? I was like, how about both? She goes, we can do that. Later, she comes to me in the meal and she says, I was talking to one of the other servers and there is somebody else that at a different table that ordered almost exactly the same way you did. And I said, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm not the only one. I'm used to having servers in restaurants give me strange looks when I ask them for things, but this was quite nice. She said, oh, we really do try to be accommodating, and she said she actually enjoys that. It's about working there, like that they are so flexible and that they do really try to cater to people's dietary restrictions, or if they have severe allergies, they bend over backwards. Sometimes unless it's an allergy, the restaurants are kind of like, well, why would we want to do that? And, I've never lied and said that I have an allergy. I usually have to explain, well, no, they're not food allergies, they're intolerances. Now, it's pretty simple. I just say, yeah, I only want the meat, nothing else. And my steak arrived and it was beautiful and I enjoyed every single bite. And I'm kind of leaning towards the clarified butter over the whipped butter for eating with steak. It was interesting because it reminded me a lot of, just that flavor of clarified butter instantly reminds me of eating crab and lobster, which I don't eat anymore. Those are two things I'm severely intolerant to. And I get very stuffed up if I eat it, and it can cause all kinds of other issues for me. But yeah, not an allergy, but still unpleasant, uncomfortable. I actually, got really sick one year after eating a lobster dinner and not knowing that I was intolerant, and I was sick the whole next day. I couldn't even wake up. I couldn't get out of bed, and yeah. So staying away from crab and lobster is hard, but it's totally doable because it's expensive. So yeah, conquered the first restaurant trip and it was a success. So if you are planning on eating out with friends and family, I would seriously just think about where it is that you're going if you have any choice or if other people decide, and just, have the conversation with your server and just ask, like, can you do something for me if you've never had to do that before? More often than not, they will say, oh, absolutely. And they might even come back and ask you some more questions to see if, oh, is this okay? Can we do that? Like today it was, I would really like my steak cooked. No, none of their signature keg spice. They have a beautiful steak seasoning that is just delicious, but it's loaded with stuff that really triggers my guts. So I just said, just some salt and a side of butter, and had my hot water with dinner, enjoyed it. It was, probably the easiest I've ever experienced in ordering a weird meal in a restaurant. So I'm looking forward to that because I do like to go out and be social with my friends and, not sit there at the table and not eat. If I wasn't hungry, that would have been a different story, but I was quite hungry by the time we got to the restaurant. So I was really thankful to have something that was tasty and came out exactly the way I wanted it. Their steaks are very consistent, and the baseball steak is, I want to say it's a 12-ounce steak. And it's gorgeous. It just, knife slices through it like butter. It's beautiful. How's the body doing, you might ask? Body's doing pretty good. I felt like I had a lot of mental clarity today, and, kind of having that carryover from last night was really great. It was nice to just feel like I was all there with it today, especially because we had to go do some touring of, a school for my daughter tonight, and I wanted to make sure that I could absorb the information and ask questions when needed, and that went really well. Gastro upset a little bit today, and that's just adaptation. It comes and goes. It's not like it was majorly painful. It was just more some discomfort, but it's nothing that I can't. It's nothing I can't handle. I'm not worried about that. All in all, I feel good. I feel like my body is starting to change, and that's really positive. I'm noticing even in my clothes that, I put on a pair of jeans today that a few months ago I had a hard time getting into because my body was just so puffy and inflamed and angry all over the place. And now I'm starting to feel like a lot of that inflammation is starting to go quickly, which is very good. I just hope that it keeps going. And I have heard of other people who have done carnivore and that they felt like they kind of stalled at one point. And so, they looked very carefully at exactly what they were eating. Did they have any dairy? Was it just meat? Were they adding stuff that maybe shouldn't have been in there? And I've been, pretty pretty good about sticking to the rules because I don't find it challenging. It was really challenging to walk into a restaurant and say, "Oh, well, can you make sure that this, like it's got to be gluten free, and do you have corn tortillas instead of flour tortillas? Do you have, can you make this without a part of it?" And in some restaurants, when you go, the answer is no, because they get a lot of their food prepackaged or frozen and they can't separate out certain elements. So going out to a restaurant where things are prepared fresh and that it's going to be fresh, always good, because they have control over what ingredients are going into the food. So that's kind of a bonus. Appetite today. Okay, so I was hungry by the time we got to the restaurant, but this afternoon, after I'd, run my errands and got back home, I thought, well, I should probably eat something before we go out because I hadn't eaten and I was starting to feel a little twinge, just like I might be a bit hungry. And so I took out the plate of burgers that I cooked last night and I had a couple bites of one and I just realized now I don't really want that. I don't think I'm actually hungry. So back in the fridge it went. And, an hour and a half later, I was ready to go when dinner was put on the table and super hungry, and it was really good. But I'm kind of getting used to that, trying something, see if I'm actually hungry, see if that tastes good, or see if that's, or to see if I'm hungry, if it tastes good, and try and decide if that's what I want, as opposed to, okay, I haven't eaten all day, I should just eat something, and feeling like, oh, I haven't fed my body today. No, I'm not feeling that sense of my body feels malnourished or that I am starving all the time. And that's also helping, I think, just the satisfaction of eating meat and high fat diet. I still get nausea. That hasn't gone away, and I'm not expecting that to disappear overnight or anytime soon for that matter. It's just been such a part of my life that I've accepted it. However, it seems like it's easier for me to eat. And I don't know if that's just because I find meat so delicious, or even like eggs or salmon. I mean, yesterday morning, I made myself butter basted salmon for breakfast, and it was beautiful. It was so good. And I have a hard time eating in the morning. So it was kind of a bit of a miracle to me that I was actually hungry and that I ate it all. Small victories. Any day with less nausea is a really great day for me. If I can go the whole day without feeling super nauseous for most of it, that's totally a win. And not having an appetite, but not because of nausea, but because I just really feel like, no, my body feels like it's satisfied. That's kind of a new experience. So I'm still moving ahead, moving forward. It's working so far, and I'm just going to keep on going. So if you did like today's video, please give us a big thumbs up, and subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know exactly when the next videos are going to be dropping on YouTube. And for today, this is SickMom, checking out.